Hello, my name is Mitch and I draw Blood Force, and we're here today with Brigade number 2, Chapter 3 of the Blood Brothers crossover. No, last week was not a dream, was not an imaginary story. We did actually do that, and we are going to finish it. If you're a fan of the channel, if you want to support me as an artist, the best thing you can do is you could open up the description, and there's a couple of links there. First one is to my Patreon. That's where all the Blood Force pages go, all the Blood Force comics, as well as all these videos before they get uploaded to YouTube and any behind-the-scenes, Patreon-exclusive kind of stuff. So that's worth checking out. Also, commissions are now open. If you head over to my Instagram, you can DM me there, and that's how you can get your own Blood Force artwork. So, Brigade number 2, released June of 1993, 1 month after Brigade number 1, so right on schedule. Still haven't reached Brigade number 4 in July, but, you know, that's not important. Made a bit of fuss already about this cover on my top 10 image covers of 1993 video, so you should probably go check that one out if you haven't already. But, yeah, I am a fan of this cover here. I do like the shiny, I believe they called it Miracoat. I don't know what that means. Should we check what that means? Okay, so the internet doesn't seem to know what that means either. Hopefully. But yeah, I do enjoy this cover, and it's a pretty good, what's the word? Composition. Yeah, it's actually kind of inventive. I'm not sure whose idea that would have been. But pretty good. Okay, so, usual cast, Rob Liefeld, just kind of taking credit for stuff. Pencils, Merritt Michaels, Eric Stevenson doing the script, Paul Mouse doing the coloring, and Norm Rapman doing the inks. And something doesn't look quite right here. It doesn't look as how it did in Brigade number 1 anyway. I want to say maybe it's the colors. They don't, they don't pop the way they did before. I mean, Seahawk has kind of drab colors anyway. But we're going to get a quick rundown of what happened in Bloodstrike number 2. Which, that's fair, because, I mean, maybe, I almost said maybe you're a Brigade fan. I suppose it's vaguely possible, right? And not a Bloodstrike fan. You know what, that entire line of thought seems unlikely. I'm just going to scratch it. So, there's not much to really say here. Seahawk busted out of his back to tank. And we know Seahawk's a hothead, so naturally he's going to go straight for Cabot. Which is fair, because Cabot's the one who put him there. Either him or Shogun did, I don't even remember anymore. And, decent, double page spread as far as merit goes. I wouldn't call it great or anything, but that's okay. It's not a waste of a spread. And I mean, we've seen some spreads get wasted, so that's okay. And I don't mind this layout too, although it's a little... Okay, these panel borders look lazy. They look like they were done with a Sharpie. And it feels like you could have done this a little better. I don't mind the idea, I think, of these panels, just not the way they were done. And Tag wants to get in there to help Cabot. And Deadlock, Deadbolt, I don't fucking know. He's like, no, forget it, Tag. I want to see how he handles this kid on his own, which is stupid. But it does fit for this kind of thing. And they want to, I think they want to get out there that Deadlock isn't invested in the team, whereas Tag kind of is a little bit. If that's the case, then, you know, that entire exchange, you know, not entirely pointless. So we're moving on up. And we don't really get much in the way of lines here. We get Seahawk coming in with a big swing with the right, and then stops to be, you're finished. And then hits him with the left. That's how you catch him off guard. Decent lettering. This looks like computer lettering, though. And kind of typical. We actually got a POW. And so this is interesting with the speed lines just kind of in, I guess, Seahawk's wake. I'm not sure if I agree with that or not. I don't wholly think it's a bad idea, though. And we know that there's one thing that Merritt Michaels does well. I was going to say if there's one thing that Merritt Michaels does. No, there is. And it's speed lines. He used to do Rob's speed lines on X-Force. And then it looks... this is a weird choice. Maybe the page looked too empty. It looks a little bit like one of these panels just kind of fell out on the template. And this action isn't bad, really. He does this every once in a while, where he does the canted, like the Dutch angle for the hit. And he's getting better at when to implement it. I think he did that in number 1 as well. Yeah. Big old crack-a-pow. You know, that's pretty good. I feel comfortable, I think, saying when Merritt Michaels does a good job on things. Because I know what his stuff looks like today, and I know that he's not going to last on Brigade very long. So there's no real threat to any previous statements I've made. Odd lettering for a scrunch. Big calligraphy S. That really gets across the impact, I would say, is yeah, like an Eastern calligraphy style. And Merritt doesn't know not to cross the XY axis. So, yeah, take a hit, pulls out a gun, and completely zips around. Does shoot Seahawk in the chest. So that's all fine. We're losing a little bit of fidelity in the line work. Just a little bit, and no backgrounds to speak of in any of this. There was one here. It's not the most established, but, you know, that's backgrounds. That's all right. I feel like we got a fair bit. Like, you know, stuff like this. Not much in between. There's some here. There's a little bit. There is some more. You know, I mean, even just this is something. Yeah, he does some random lines in the background here where he wouldn't do this. Where he's not doing this in number 2 anyway. Oh, and a double page vertical spread. This looks like Rob gave him an idea. This seems like a Rob panel. It's kind of impactless. Don't mind the bouncing. That's okay. And Cabot says, you know, like, I want to see what you're really made of now that I've shot you in the stomach. And Seahawk goes and stabs him with his helmet. With Seahawk's helmet, rather. Which is a moment I recall. I don't think it had quite the impact they wanted. Because, I mean, we've said over 3 issues now that these guys are all dead. And we've seen them take worse. I think we saw Cabot get shot in the head or something, did he not? And these guys are all shocked about him getting stabbed twice in the chest. I don't think they would care at this point. They'd be like, uh-huh, and? And Lethal here uses this as her excuse to... Well, I assume she kicked Deadlock here and then waved at Tag, and that was enough to knock her off her feet. And Tag's kind of just going along with it. She looks like she's kind of laughing there. So... It's just like, okay, I don't want to get kicked. I'm going to just fall over. And you can be like, oh, wow, I'm so strong. All right? And then, yeah, just go on your way. So she scoops up Seahawk, and they both just kind of fall out of the plane. I mean, Seahawk can fly, so theoretically that shouldn't matter. I don't know if he needs, you know, his liver or whatever in order to fly. Maybe. Maybe that's where your flying powers come from. And we get, like, the worst ship off in the corner here. This is, yeah, Liefeld on a bad day. Alright, so now we're cutting back to Gate International Headquarters. where stasis is being regenerated, probably, and cold snap is pretty much a block of ice. And Battlestone's having a discussion with Boone, who's just so generic. I'm not sure. They're very impatient with their team, which I always found kind of funny. Because, like, you always got the feeling that Rob wanted his teams to have a mythos and, like, a history. Where, you pick up issue 1 and then, you pick up issue 50 and the book's completely different. You go, whoa, what happened to all these characters I love? But he doesn't have the patience for that. So, the team is completely different by issue 6, essentially. That's where we're at, And we've got Stasis dead, we've got Atlas dead, we've got Seahawk maybe dead. Are there more changes to come? I guess we'll see. So Boone and Battlestone are going to have a discussion, and Boone is like 66% legs. I think it's creeping up towards 80, actually. You know what? If this was his style now, I would totally be willing to give him that. Where just they're all legs, and it's some weird kind of Aeon Flux shit. Or just like, oh, okay, so that's just how the guy draws. Fine, I guess, as long as he does it consistently. And we go John, and then, like, take your pick of which word balloon to go to next. What you're supposed to do is go this way, and then back up here. No indication, really. So that wasn't very well done, particularly with this panel being higher than this panel. Not great. And Shogun and Foreplay bust in through the skylight. Why would you have a skylight there? I guess so, yeah. So Shogun and Foreplay can bust in. That does make sense. And they do you can come along quietly or we can take you back in pieces. So begin the cliches. And Battlestone is going to take up the challenge. Who can come up with the most cliched response? And he goes, but if anyone goes back to cabin in pieces, it's going to be you. Like, oh shit, I did not see that coming. It might be me now. And yeah, they grapple for position, and Battlestone tosses him off here. Did we not see this shot in issue 1? Am I thinking of that punch again? I probably am. Yeah, I think so. I think of that punch a lot, to be fair. No, I don't. It's it's an awkward position, but it still works for this. And we're getting again the Dutch angle with the throw and the dude getting flung and breaking his own back. That's kind of part of this gimmick. And Boone connects with a kick to the jaw, which, I mean, not a bad kick. And undead or not undead, I think that would, like, knock her out. But I suppose not. Maybe that's why she wears that helmet. And whilst they're grappling, he gets his gun. So she just... I mean, what is the point of those 4 arms? She, like, holding him down with these 2 and, like, tickling him with the other 2? And Shogun apparently also has a buzzsaw in one of his arms. And Eric Stevenson takes a moment to get meta. Because Shogun goes, you run out of catchphrases and battle cries so soon? So now I'm starting to wonder if Eric Stevenson is just like, man, I don't know how many more I've got left in me. I feel like I've got to give it at least another issue before somebody says say their prayers. And another double-page spread here. And he goes, nah, I thought I'd just let you get your little speech out of your system before I knocked you on your overgrown tin ass. So no, he's not done yet. He was just playing possum. And Shogun shoots Battlestone what looks like at least 4 times. Manages to miss Boone completely. So, oh, that's 5. Apparently. So, I don't know. We're okay with some blood as long as it's versus people who can't be killed. Well, no, I mean, we killed off Atlas a while back. Yeah, that was one of the things. We were okay with blood as long as it wasn't against villains. And then there's a teleportation. And, oh, that is Cabot. And Deadlock and Tag. So it's just Boone and Battlestone versus the entirety of Brigade. So this should theoretically, seeing as how this was a pretty even matchup until this point, this should all go Bloodstrike's way now. Except that somebody comes up to be the cavalry, and who? And last time around, you and your lot nearly killed me. This time, though, things are different. I'm different, and this is Cold Snap. Do they even say it's Cold Snap? Not really. You scum owe me a rematch, and I mean to collect an interest. Yeah, I mean, if it's 12-year-olds reading this, you might not get it. That's Cold Snap. So this is how he's like evolved, and this is another thing with the team has completely changed since last time. Where, yeah, Cold Snap is now an ice giant. And was on the cover of Brigade number 1 as an ice giant. So he drew this after this, theoretically? Or no, I guess, just as a concept thing. Look at how weak this is. Particularly after you take it, like, this isn't bad. He's very, girthy. But, yeah. No, it's not terrible. That is. And not much in the battle cries, although people are still asking. One thing I like about the Extreme books is that people ask a lot of questions. I mean, it does stand to reason. People would have a lot of questions. But I enjoy it particularly because we all know Eric Stevenson does not like questions. He's gonna get impatient by, like, issue 4 at the latest. Particularly with stuff like, did Battlestone cut his hair in issue 4? And Eric Stevenson's answer is, after a short period with no ponytail, Battlestone has decided to grow it back. Which do you think looks better? So, I don't know, maybe he's had a talking to. And did he have? He's never had a ponytail, he's just back with the braids. Man, Eric Stevenson, how are you going to write your guy properly when you don't even know if he's got a ponytail or braids? Obviously does not know the character. Does he have braids through the whole thing? This is like the important braid shot. Yeah. Oh, that's how it looks from the back, eh? He tried something. Remember in Brigade number 1? He completely gave up. It does sometimes feel like he's progressing a little bit. Just a little bit. And now we're going to cut to a Thermal backup story. Because we all care about Thermal. And we want to know what she's doing in her off hours, right? Well, she did leave from the scene just before the fight came in. Yeah, I need to check on Stasis and Cold Snap. Guys, fill me in later. And then immediately after that, she didn't manage to hear anything. And this is, so written by Eric Stevenson, Merritt Michaels, layouts. Okay, and Matt Haley is the penciler. And who's doing the inking? Carl Story. Because this looks pretty good. It doesn't look like an Image comic. Maybe that's the problem. But this looks fairly solid. Okay with the panel border. Like, okay, we get it. And Thermal is getting yelled at by her editor. Because apparently she's a flying, flame-throwing news reporter. And snuck her way onto Brigade, and her editor is, he's yelling at her to get him that story about how when you guys were in space fighting aliens, people want to read about that, and she's like, I don't think I can do that. These people are my friends. It's like, space story! And she's all worried about her morals and shit. Alright. But, like, this artwork isn't terrible. And is this Merritt layouts, really? Like, the detail is way more than Merritt would ever bother with. This guy looks a little bit like a Harvey Firestein. But, I mean, maybe that's who it's based on. He's just like,
This paper has invested too much money in this story for you to pull this kind of garbage now.
and then, Thermal gets alerted that something is happening with the ice guy. And she flies off. A little awkwardly, but, this artwork is pretty good. I wonder if it took a long time for the guy, though. This seems like maybe not page-a-day stuff. I don't know. I mean, maybe it is. If it was, like, they probably should have hired him. Because he's better than a few of the guys they got. Extreme. 64-page quarterly. There is one issue of Extreme, number 0, that I can't get, I don't think. I don't believe it's even available. Oh, there is a copy available. Shit. Extreme Studios exclusive offer available only through the mail with coupon. Cardstock cover. Okay. This is August 1993. I think that's it. Only through the mail, though, eh? I'll go in my cart. And we got images of Shadowhawk. What else do you need to know? I mean, like, what the fuck am I looking at to start with? This is such a weird style. And I mean, I know Keith Giffen can draw like regular shit. So this is just, I don't know if this is this is the style he always wanted to put out there. That'd be weird. Look at this stuff in black and white. How does like that poor colorist. I was thinking, like, man, there's not enough black in here. How the hell do you expect the colorist to do anything in there? Is he supposed to differentiate something from something else? Good God. Not a lot of varying line weights either. Oh, it all just kind of... Oh. Man. That's a hell of a series. It's fucking crazy. And this blood's for you. Space Story. So, yeah, that was Brigade number 2. There was, in my mind, what you should do for this kind of crossover. If you want to do a prologue, okay, go ahead and do a prologue. Like, Bloodstrike number 1. Where, well, I mean, you got to introduce that fucking team, right? You can't just go straight into whatever the fucking crossover is, theoretically. But for this kind of deal, you should have, your inciting event where the two teams meet. And that was Brigade number 1. Chapter 2, you should have an elevating of events, I would say. So, like, step it up a notch. And then, because this kind of thing, these two guys have history, Cabot and Battlestone. Number 3 should maybe be some backstory and a little bit more fighting. Chapter 4 should be things coming to a boil. And maybe like a lowest point moment at the end of the issue. And then Chapter 5, like bring it all together for a climax. And Chapter 2 didn't do much of anything. This is kind of a continuation of Chapter 2, really. Where, you heat it up a notch. And then... that's kind of... It's basically kind of a slow build between Bloodstrike number 2 and Brigade number 2. So, I mean, if you're foregoing any backstory, that's fine. But I'm pretty sure that's what Bloodstrike number 3 is. But... we'll get into that, I suppose. That's going to do it for this one. Thanks very much for watching. If you like this video, please hit like, hit subscribe, hit the notifications. Go over, follow me on Twitter. More importantly, go and subscribe on my Patreon. That's where all of the Blood Force pages end up. Blood Force comics, basically. And that's also where all these videos go before they end up on YouTube, usually a week or so in advance. That's also where any behind-the-scenes or Patreon exclusive stuff is. So that's worth checking out. Also, you can head over to my Instagram, because commissions are now open. So if you want your own Blood Force artwork, that's the way to get it. But thanks very much for watching this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.